We had to pull you out of a big panel right now, and you were just saying, just the caliber of people that are coming to Hong Kong, the pull. Just give us a sense of how you're thinking about this lineup.
Well, you have 90 global CEOs of the main financial institutions from around the world. I mean, top bankers, top hedge funds, private equity. And I've been to lots of conferences over my life, but the type of presence, the type of conversations that you're seeing, there's a lot of interest, a lot of curiosity about what's going on. And I think this is a very healthy dialogue that is developing. And looking forward to a great day. Tomorrow we have today and the rest of tomorrow, so looking forward to great interactions.
Yeah, you mentioned a show of force, and the question I have now is, where is China now? On the mindset of asset allocators, right? Because you've been traveling a lot too. And what's your sense of how, if people are warming up again to the idea of reallocating back?
I think there's a little bit of reallocation that we're having, and we're seeing perhaps some areas that were historically not areas of big investments in China. They're starting to step up. Others are slowing down a little bit. So while we have seen over the last few months geopolitics takes a little bit of impact in some of the, let's say, international flows from traditional places like, Western Europe and the US. There are other areas that are coming up very quickly. I was last week in the Middle East, and I've seen lots of interest of growing, their investments in the region. And then I went to Brazil as well, and it was surprising to see so much interest from Brazil that historically was a place that was like very far away, so there was very little. And that corridor that goes all the way from what I would call, let's say, Northeast coming from China, Southeast Asia, going through the Middle East, Africa and Latin America, is like I call the diagonal of growth, which it's remarkable because within that area you have all the water, energy, food, minerals, technology, middle class. I mean, it's just like a huge development, and I see a lot of vibrancy, a lot of like interactions, dialogue, conversations, and I'm very excited about that, what that can create for the future.
Particularly with the Middle East. How many times have you been there this year?
In the last 13 months, I've been 5 times. I'm going next week to Dubai, so that would be my 6th time.
What's happening?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. They need to diversify their investment base. Obviously, they have very large companies, the traditional energy companies. They generate a lot of cash flows. And what they need to do is to start diversifying around the world. A lot of those investments were centered in Europe and in the US historically. Right now, if we look at the top 10 sovereign wealth funds of the world, of the Middle East only, it's about $4 trillion. They've invested roughly $40 billion in China. They want to grow that through recapitalizations of those sovereign wealth funds over the next 5-6 years. By 2030, the expectation it'll be 10 trillion. And they want to have about 10% of that invested in mostly around China. That's $1 trillion US dollars. From today, that it may be about 40 billion. Imagine over the next 6-7 years, as that capital starts coming to this part of the world, that should create tremendous opportunities.
Have they specified that? Is that
I mean,
they want to take that here?
Type of conversations that we're having. How do we create an environment where they can put some of that money to work? Now, obviously, they want to make sure that the investments that they put in here in technology companies, new economy companies, some of that is also rechanneled back to investments in the Middle East. So those countries are creating a lot of infrastructure changes, building gigantic projects like NEOM in Saudi Arabia. Those projects need infrastructure, they need technology, they need a lot of support. A lot of those companies are being created in this part of the world. So,
as a business, what does that mean specifically for the exchange? I mean, I can think of things like dual listings. Is that on the table? Some form of stock connect with some of the exchanges there. Is that on the table? How are you looking at that tangibly?
It creates very, very nice opportunities. First of all, the traditional energy companies that are in that part of the world, of course, they'll continue to selling down stakes in those companies because they are very concentrated. So they have almost 100% of all the companies. As they lower the stakes, those companies are great companies potentially to one day list in our exchange where you can have access of all the international investors, but you have also access to something very, very unique. By listing in Hong Kong, you have access to the domestic China investors, especially retail investors, those investors cannot easily invest internationally. They can now do it through Hong Kong. As of this year, as a result of some regulatory changes, they're allowed to invest internationally through companies that are also dual listed in Hong Kong. That creates a great opportunity for those companies to actually list here and get capital to continue investing in other areas.
Right.
At the same time, all the investment that they have in sovereign wealth funds that they want to diversify, or family offices in those parts of the world, they also can come to this region. Now, this is very important. To create the liquidity, we need those investors. So we need more and more international investors coming to Hong Kong.
I need to ask, two names come to mind.
Yeah.
You can probably guess. Aramco, the other one is DD. Do we see those listings in Hong Kong next year?
I mean, I cannot talk about individual companies, but Hong Kong is going to be a very, very unique place to list, in the sense that, as I said, you have the international capital that can freely flow here. There are no restrictions whatsoever, and we have 80 of the top 100 banks in the world present here. We were just hearing $4 trillion assets under management are based in Hong Kong. And then you have hedge funds. This is the largest hedge fund platform in all of Asia, largest private equity fund in Asia, actually second largest in Asia. And so it's just a very vibrant environment, ecosystem, where companies that come and list here can get the right capital.
Well, I tried on Aramco and DD. Let's see what next year. Okay, but generally speaking, the IPO market this year has been horrible.
Yeah.
What's the outlook next year? What's that pipeline looking like?
I would actually say, I mean, it's been a little slower than other years, but we have close to 55 IPOs so far this year, okay? Including last week, we just had J&T Express, which is an Indonesian company.
Yeah.
It's a very large, it's a decacorn, a more than 10 billion market cap. They raised $500 million US dollars. Logistics company, very technologically advanced. And so that gives you an example of the type of companies that come to a list to our market, which has been very slow all around the world. But Hong Kong is a very international market, so it keeps up with what's happening around the world. With rates going up, and they went up very rapidly, and they're likely to stay there, a lot of funds have shifted towards money market funds. So from like stocks to money market funds, that has slowed the flow. And on top of that, the lower interest rates also cause like valuations to come down. So the issuers are waiting for the right time to go out. But we have 120 companies in the pipeline.
Okay.
So it's a good pipeline of companies for the future.